Hey y'all, welcome back to the next installment of Woman Once Removed, my love story. So today I wanted to talk about my trip to Bangkok that I took in 2000. It was the most exciting, the most magical, the most romantic trip I've ever been on. No, it was great. Well, I had met this man online. He was from overseas, and we decided we wanted to meet in person and vacation together. So he suggested either Thailand or India. So I did some research, and I thought India looked kind of dirty and scary, even though I've always wanted to go to India. But Thailand looked so much nicer. So we decided to meet in Bangkok and then tour the country. So I was kind of scared. I had never flown overseas before. And I thought, well, I really don't know this man other than, regular conversations on the telephone and online and stuff. So we basically knew each other. We knew we wanted to meet and get to know each other better. And I had never done anything like that before. But my mother, she was getting to the age that she knew that one day she wouldn't be there. And she wanted to see me in a relationship and be happy and all that kind of stuff. So she's the one that prompted me to do that to begin with. She had seen some television shows, how people had met on the internet. So I joined this very new group called Friend Finders. And at that time it was free for women because it was new and they wanted to get women into it and to get their business built up. It cost for men, but it was free for women. So I met this great guy, and we decided to meet in Bangkok. So I'll show you a couple of pictures here that my mother took of me before I left, so that in case I did not make it back, she would have something to remember me by. Because not only was I going to a foreign country, I was flying over water. We didn't know what could happen. So, yes, she took some pictures of me before I left. I flew out and I left out of Atlanta on Korean Air. But it wasn't until I was in the air and I remember we were going over and the monitor up there showed the plane as it was flying and what it was near. And I was looking after it passed, Alaska, and it was getting up there close to Russia. And it dawned on me at that moment, this is Korean Air. This is the airline that Russia shot out of the sky a few years before that. So I was real nervous until we got long past Russia. And I thought I would have never taken this plane. But it is the plane that goes into Bangkok. So I would have eventually had to get on Korean Air either way. So the plane lands in Seoul, Korea. And we had a 9-hour layover in Seoul, Korea. Well, I remember we were upstairs in this lounge area that was for people that were doing changeovers for planes. And it was secure. Nobody else could get up there unless they had tickets. So we knew who was up there, and they were eating places up there, and there was a lounge to sit, and if you wanted to be brave enough to go to sleep, then you could. But I wasn't exactly brave enough to shut my eyes because I was in a foreign country. And I was scared, so I took my time walking around up there and in the different shops and stuff that was up there, and I ate, and I killed as much time as I could, and I went back and sat back down. But that was a long layover. I took a book and I read and stuff. And what was so funny is we got in the air, and it seems like no sooner that we were in the air that we were touching back down into Bangkok. I kept thinking I could have walked to Bangkok in this 9 hours. Because I felt like it was that close. And all of the flights go into Bangkok at midnight. Any I've ever checked on, they've always landed in Bangkok at midnight. But the man was there to meet me. Oh, he was as handsome as he was in his pictures, and so sweet and attentive. It was just like, we just really hit it off from the moment we saw each other. And I went to pick up my luggage, and they did not have my luggage. My luggage had been lost. So all I had was my carry-on. But this was my first overseas flight. The first time I'd ever lost my luggage. And I did not really know to carry, a lot of things in my carry-on. I had my makeup and, different things, books and things that I thought I might actually need. But I didn't have any clothes in my carry-on, not even a gown to sleep in. So they said as soon as the luggage gets there, that they would send it to our hotel. So we go to the hotel, and he had got us a room in what they call a guest house. Guest houses in the Far East are small, privately owned hotels. They're nice, and they're neat, and they're clean. They have private baths and everything just like that, TVs, and it's just like any other room. But instead of being owned by a large company, an American company, they were owned by local Thai citizens. So the prices were extremely low, like $6 a night for a nice room. And so that's where we stayed the first couple of nights, especially until my luggage arrived. Luckily, I didn't need anything to sleep in because he and I hit it off real well. And may I add here that he did not know my tea. I did not discuss that with him. At that point in my life, I did not tell people. So I know I was probably running a risk, but it was my risk. It was my life. It was the way we did things. And I had no problems at all. So we went out the next day, and this hotel was in what they call the historic district of Bangkok. It's where the original area of Bangkok was established, and it's near the river. So there were not any shops there in that area that had clothes big enough for me. The Thai women are little tiny, short women, so there was nothing there that I could wear. So I had to wear the same clothes that I traveled in for the next 2 days. Luckily, I had my makeup and my hair stuff, so I could look cute, but I had to look cute in the same clothes. So we toured first, of course, the historical area. We went into some nice museums, and we took a trip down the in these what they call long boats. And Bangkok is known as the Venice of the Far East because they have canals built all through the city where boats can go in. And it's wonderful because these longboats will take you all through these canals and these tours, and you can stop at these temples and museums. And there was even a snake farm on that trip. I didn't get out of the boat for the snake farm. I'm not into snakes. So I set that one out. But the rest of the time we were spending in Bangkok was fabulous. But after my luggage came, the man I was with, he did some research, and he found that we could go to it was like a apartment complex. It was called the Grand Palace. And it had these efficiency apartments that had a kitchenette, a bathroom, a balcony that overlooked Bangkok, and it was a nice big room with a refrigerator and television, and it even had a built-in safe and everything. It was really nice, very modern. And I think we got that for $130 a month, and we stayed there for a total of 2 months. It was fabulous because we used that as our main place we were staying while we traveled and went to other villages and things, and stayed overnight in different places, but that was where we came back to. And and one thing I remembered, on that street where the Grand Palace was, they was having work done on this big building, and I saw elephants. I mean, the elephants were helping lift all this stuff for them to work on this building. I mean, I'd only seen that in movies. I'd never seen that in real life. So after that, after I saw those elephants, we decided to go up into the mountains to Chiang Mai, which was the original capital of Thailand when it was still known as Siam. And it even had partial of the walls, the stone walls that was originally around the city. And you had to go through the gateway that was the original gateway when it was a walled imperial city, when the king lived there. And we decided to go there because they had an elephant training camp just a few miles from Chiang Mai in a village called Mae Ping. So we went over there with this tour, and it was a bunch of other people that were from different countries. There was even some people, a couple there from India, that we went with. And it was fabulous. It showed the elephants doing all their tricks and showing all the things that they could do, And they could count, and they could paint a picture, and they could just do all kinds of things. And after that was over, they were taking people on elephant rides. They would take those elephants across the Mae Ping River and up this hill that went over into what they call the hill country, where these native people lived that They looked like somebody from Burma or something, but they were some of the original mountain Thai people that lived in these little villages. And so we all had to walk up this platform so that we would be level with the elephants. And an elephant would come by and you would get on it. And then it would leave and the next elephant would come by and then you would get on it. And all the people in front of us were getting on, couples were getting on their elephant. Well, when it come our turn, the man I was with, he got on the elephant, and then the Thai man turned around and said, no, 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 too big, too big. And he motioned that I would have to get on the next elephant by myself. Well, I was a big girl back then. I was a fluffy girl. I was cute, but I was fluffy. And I was embarrassed because he was telling me in front of all these people that I was fat, that I was too big to get on the elephant. I had enough common sense to know that it was probably dangerous because it was a wooden platform that was hooked to the elephant, and they would be going across a river that was elephants stepping on rocks and going up a hill. So I'm sure it was dangerous for me to get on that elephant with someone else. But I was still very sensitive, and it made me cry. And I had to come down off that podium and go into the women's restroom and cry. But instead of that man getting off of that elephant, he went on his tour and had a great time. And I got a picture I'll put up here of him on his elephant. He looked good on that elephant. But I was perturbed because he did not get off of the elephant to come and console me. So I was in bad mood when he got back. And he got really upset with me because I was trying to bring him down because he had such a good trip. He enjoyed it so much. That was the only bad time we had. I was upset with that. And ultimately, it was the reason I made my decision not to pursue a relationship with him. Even though the rest of the trip was good, I knew how he could be, and that didn't leave my mind. But after that, the whole tour is going on this raft ride down the Maping River. And this raft is made out of big, huge bamboo. And they're tied together like in the old days. Bamboo raft. And there was a bunch of different rafts, you know. It wasn't just the whole group going on one. It was a bunch of different rafts. And when I got my turn to get on, it was the same man that said I was too big to get on the elephant. I said, are you absolutely sure that I'm not too big to get on the raft? Oh, no, come on. You're fine. So I get on the raft. Well, I'm still in no good humor by then. And some of you could know that I can get in a foul humor. And I did. In Mayping, Thailand. So we went down that river, and along the way we go past an area where there's these huts, primitive looking huts, and standing around those huts are elephants, and you can see women there. They're hanging out clothes and they're cooking and doing all that. These are the wives of the men who've trained the elephants. So they live there right with the elephants so that the elephants know them. I guess elephants are really smart, so they want to get a personal relationship with their elephant. So they're right there with them. So then we go on down a good ways, and it stops at this beautiful resort right there on the river. And we get off, and they have these wooden carts. They have these big, huge wooden wheels that are being pulled by ox. That's a type of cow, an ox. So everybody was getting on these ox carts to go up another hill and another village and see what's going on up there. Well, I was able to ride that. They did not say I was too big to get on that cart that was being pulled by an oxen. So once we got back off of that, they ushered us in to this resort to have a nice buffet lunch. It was beautiful out in the garden. It was gorgeous. I took a nice drink, and I refused to eat one bite because all these people were the same people who heard that man say I was too big. So I was embarrassed. I would not eat a bite. Don't call me fat and expect me to eat. So, but by the time we got home that night, I was starving. And I didn't care who seen me eat. Of course, we weren't with that same group. We went to another restaurant. And I absolutely loved Thai food served by just a regular Thai restaurant with all the customers being Thai people. I just learned how in Thai to say no heat. I don't remember what it is now. It's 21 years ago. But there was words for no heat because Thai people cook with a lot of hot peppers. And if you don't tell them that, it will come with a lot of peppers and it would be impossible for me to eat. So I made sure to tell them that. So we had a great time. I remember the guest house that we were staying in Chiang Mai. Every morning I would hear a chicken, a rooster crowing at daybreak. And I looked out, and just beyond where I was at, there was this man who had these little bantam chickens. They were just little miniature chickens, and and it was just crowing up a storm, just a little bitty bird. But on our way up there, we took what they call an express bus. The express bus, it gets on the road and it doesn't stop except for one rest break where they serve a buffet lunch at this restaurant that's worked out, and you stop to use the bathroom. Other times you use the bathroom on the bus because it does not stop. That's the reason they call it an express bus, so that it gets there as fast as possible. And I'll never forget, because the restrooms that they use in Thailand, and unless you're somewhere where they're catering to American or westernized people, they don't have toilets. They have, their plumbing is on the floor, and it has a little place that you put your feet and you squat down. And you don't squat down in a private cubicle. You squat down next to someone else. Luckily, all the guest houses we stayed in and the apartment had a regular toilet. But any of the restaurants that we went to the whole time we were in Thailand had those squat down toilets. And that's the kind of toilets they have in the Middle East too. So it's all parts of the world over there, they squat. So that's a little useless bit of information, but I thought it was kind of interesting. It sure was to me when I wasn't expecting it. Yes, the only time I could be private is to use the bathroom on the bus. I learned that. But on the way back, we took a regular bus that stopped along the way and stuff. It took us like 4 hours to get there because it stopped a lot. But we didn't take an express going back. So, yes, seeing the Grand Palace where Anna lived with the King of Siam, seeing all those things was fabulous. I will never forget my experience there. It was the most wonderful, enchanting experience that I've ever had. Back then, we had to go to internet cafes to use the internet because in 2000, a lot of those third world countries or Asian countries especially, and even in the Middle East, did not have internet connection in the hotels and stuff. I mean, the big American hotels, I'm sure did, but where we stayed did not. And we had to go to internet cafes to use the internet. You know, just to correspond with family and stuff, let them know how we were doing. So that was an experience there, was finding an internet cafe to go into. And I know we took a lot of pictures, but I took pictures with disposable cameras because I had not progressed to a digital camera at that time. But we could take it to photo shops that had, you know, had a 1 hour service and look at those pictures. And since we had a kitchenette, a lot of times we'd go to a grocery store and buy things. And I remember I had a wok and I tried to fix Asian kind of, that was in Asia. I wanted to cook like they were cooking. So I fixed a lot of stir-fried dishes with rice and things. So I had a great time. I'm glad that he and I hit it off really well romantically. I will take nothing for the experience. I'll take nothing for my memories. And I was sad that it didn't work out. When I got home, I cried for weeks because I was just crazy for that fella. But it did not work out. We still corresponded for a few years afterwards, but he even wanted me to come back and spend time with him. But I got into other things. I got into it with Mr. Salami, and that sort of messed things up with that. So, all right. There's a lot of things that happened during that 2 months that I was there. A lot of things happened, but gives you sort of an idea of what was going down. A lot of little side excursions on tuk-tuks. Tuk-tuks are sort of a modern version of a rickshaw. They are pulled by scooters and they have a top over them, but there's no windows, so if you go through rush hour, you have a lot of exhaust fumes, so we had to either use those during the off hours. But the thing about a tuk-tuk driver is because they're so excited to get a Western patron that will pay more than the average Thai person, they will stick with you like glue. If you're going, you know, sightseeing, they won't just let you out and leave. They want to keep you. So they'll sit with you all day and take you anywhere you need to go and still charge you less than what you would have charged a regular cab to take you somewhere and be with you all day at your disposal. Gosh, I loved that. But when I was in Chiang Mai, I actually took a real rickshaw being pulled by a bicycle. I love that. That was experiencing history. So, okay, I'll let y'all go because it's almost 30 minutes. How can you tell 2 months worth of stuff in 30 minutes? Okay, y'all. Bye-bye. See y'all later. Love y'all. Well, most of you at least. And you know who you are. The rest of you, that one person can bite me, you bitch.